The Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Paralympics, this should be a moment of pure celebration, right? A showcase of incredible athletic achievement. But instead, it's all tangled up in this complex web of global politics. It's really setting the stage for a games that's going to be defined as much by controversy as it is by milestones.
And this isn't just any competition. We're talking about a massive milestone here. These games, they mark the 50th anniversary of the Winter Paralympics. That's a half century of seeing elite para-athletes compete on the world's biggest winter stage. Pretty incredible. And you know what makes this even more significant is where it's all happening. The Games are returning to Italy, the very nation that hosted the first ever Paralympic Games way back in Rome in 1960. So it's really a symbolic homecoming for the entire movement. But, and this is a big but, that brings us right to the heart of the tension. Even with all this celebratory mood, several countries are actually planning to protest the games before they even officially kick off. So, what is going on here? All right, first things first, let's set the scene. We're heading to Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo, right in the heart of northern Italy. And just look at the scale of this thing. It's impressive. From March 6th to the 15th, we're going to see 612 athletes coming from 56 different nations, all competing across 79 medal events. I mean, this is a huge international gathering. So what are they competing in? Well, the action is going to unfold across 6 core winter sports. You've got para-alpine skiing, para-biathlon, para-cross-country skiing, the always intense para-ice hockey, para-snowboard, and wheelchair curling. Oh, and keep an eye on wheelchair curling. They're debuting a brand new mixed doubles event this year, which should be exciting.
Okay, so now let's get into the controversy that's casting this long shadow over the games.
So here's the deal, the really crucial point. The International Paralympic Committee, the IPC, has made a decision. They've decided to allow athletes from Russia and Belarus to compete fully under their own national flags and anthems. And this is a big deal because it's the first time this has been allowed since the Sochi Games back in 2014. Now, this decision, it didn't just come out of nowhere. Let's trace back how we got here. Back in 2016, the Russian Paralympic Committee was suspended because of a state-sponsored doping program. Then, fast forward to 2022, and both Russia and Belarus were banned from the Beijing Games right after the invasion of Ukraine. But then in September 2025, the IPC went ahead and fully reinstated Russia. And that led to 10 athletes from both nations getting official invitations just weeks before these games are set to start. The reaction from Ukraine, as you can imagine, has been strong and crystal clear. Their sports minister, Matvei Bidny, put out this really powerful statement. He basically argues that Russia is using parasport as a propaganda tool for its soldiers who were injured in the war, and that seeing the Russian flag on the international stage just helps to normalize the conflict that's still going on. So this leaves us with two really, really divided viewpoints. On one side, you have the IPC. They're arguing for keeping politics out of sport. You know, a philosophy that's supposed to put the athlete first, not the state. They're also pointing out what they see as an inconsistency, asking, hey, why ban Russia but allow Israel to compete while the Gaza war is happening? But on the other side, you have the boycotting nations. For them, the Russian flag is a tool of state propaganda, plain and simple, and they believe it is fundamentally wrong for these athletes to be welcomed back while the war in Ukraine is still raging. So what does this actually mean in practice? Well, we've got 7 nations, that includes Ukraine and some of its key European allies, who've announced their athletes and officials are completely boycotting the opening ceremony. And on top of that, the UK government is also doing a diplomatic boycott. Okay, but even with all this political turmoil, the spirit of the games, well, it carries on. So let's shift our focus back to where it should be, on the athletes and this global community that's gathering to compete. And of course, what's a games without a mascot? So, meet Milo. He's a stoat who was born without a leg, and his story is that he learned to get around by using his tail. It's a character that's really designed to represent those core Paralympic values: ingenuity, willpower, and creativity. You know, these games are also a great reminder of the incredible growth of the Paralympic movement. I mean, we are seeing 5 nations, El Salvador, Haiti, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Portugal, making their Winter Paralympic debuts for the first time ever. And in a really fantastic story, Lithuania is back competing for the first time in 32 years. Welcome back to them. So as the games finally get underway, what are the key things we should all be keeping an eye on? First off, there's actually another layer of geopolitical tension here. There's this tradition called the Olympic truce, which calls for all hostilities to stop during the Games. But just days before the opening ceremony, a joint U.S. and Israeli attack on Iran was seen by many as a breach of that truce, which just adds to an already pretty fragile international atmosphere.
So here are the big questions to follow. How are the Russian and Belarusian athletes going to perform? And maybe more importantly, how are they going to be received? What kind of impact will those boycotts have on the feel of the opening ceremony? And then there's this other point of friction. The IPC has banned Ukrainian uniforms that feature a map of their country. Is that going to cause more issues? Ultimately, it all boils down to that very delicate, very tense balance between the pure spirit of competition and the reality of global politics.
And that leaves us with the one single question that's really hanging over all of Milano Cortina 2026. In a Games that's so defined by both celebration and controversy, will the incredible, remarkable achievements of these para-athletes actually manage to rise above and triumph over the deep political divisions that are shaping their world? We'll have to watch and see.